Modern Warfare 2 has been out for a couple of days now, and it's safe to say that it's got its fair share of issues. I've played about 12 hours of the multiplayer on PC, and I've got some first impressions that I want to share, both good and bad, and I wanted to bring them together in this video as a sort of way of giving my feedback on the launch of this game so far. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. More Modern Warfare 2 content coming very soon, and of course, Warzone 2 content when that drops in Season 1. About 70% of viewers on this channel aren't yet subscribed, and a big goal for me over the next year or so is to try and hit 1 million subscribers on this channel. So if you can help us get there, go and click that subscribe button right now. You won't be disappointed. Okay then, let's kick off with weapon progression and the unlock system. There is quite a lot of debate going on at the moment about this new style that Infinity Ward has gone for, grouping weapons into families and then unlocking different weapon attachments for all of the weapons across different family trees. At first glance, it does seem a little bit daunting with unlocks all over the place, but in practice, I've actually found it to be perfectly fine. The new system is now much nicer in terms of balance across all of the weapons in the game when it comes to unlocking attachments, because certain weapons have attachments in their trees that can be unlocked for all of the guns in the game. So that means when you move from weapon to weapon, you're going to have some stuff that you can immediately apply to your weapons instead of using a completely factory setup. So you're going to have some optics you can choose from, some underbarrels, some muzzles, etc. And you can very quickly get a feel for how that weapon is going to perform based on the attachments that you apply to it, because you can look at the stats when you're applying them, which is great to me. It's a different system, but it's encouraging you to move from weapon to weapon. And it's also making sure that you're not going to start from zero every single time you move to a new gun. However, I'm sure it hasn't escaped your notice that there are a few missing weapons compared to what some players were able to look at in the menus during the campaign early access. Guns like the SIG MPX, the Honey Badger, the M13, they're missing from the lineup here, despite being in the menus previously, which is a little bit disappointing because I was kind of looking forward to using those, but it could well be that those weapons are in line to be released for Season 1, and that's starting in just a few weeks' time, so really not that long to wait. But there was a blog post before the game launched that mentioned there would be 10 assault rifles at the launch of the game, and right now I think we've only got 8. So definitely some changes happening in the background, and without any additional info, some players are a little bit disappointed that these weapons aren't live yet. Myself, I think there's plenty of weapons that I could be using in the game right now, lots to be ranking up and progressing, so a few weapons being held back, I'm not really too disappointed. I've got plenty of ranking up to do across assault rifles, SMGs, all of the weapons. I've got plenty to be doing right now. Playing with your friends in a party, that was almost completely broken up until an update earlier this weekend that fixed it. Disappointing that a bug was present at launch that would cause random party members to just crash out when you're loading into matches. Not exactly ideal when on a Friday night, launch night, you just want to be playing with your friends, working your way through maps and using different guns. That's going to kill the vibe a little bit, but props to the dev team for actually turning around a really quick fix on that one. That issue does now seem to be resolved, so that's a good thing. Another bug, which Infinity Ward has acknowledged but not yet fixed, is the weapon tuning. It's causing crashes for some players. Again, not a brilliant bug to have as your game launches. Your brand new feature that's in place for players to further customize their weapons. Not brilliant, really. This has actually been completely disabled right now. You can't tune your weapon attachments at the moment. Infinity Ward is working on a fix, and instead of leaving the feature active and then players randomly crashing when they move into matches, they've turned it off so that people can keep playing. That's a pretty decent solution for the time being. I do hope, though, like the party crashes, that this one gets fixed really quickly. No doubt people are going to start closing in on those top ranks for their weapons. They're going to want to start messing around with the attachments tuning soon. So if it's not available, that's not going to be great. Hopefully this can get fixed nice and quickly. Next, let's discuss the maps and game modes. Now, I've mainly stuck to playing Ground War and Invasion for the most part. I've been enjoying those maps and game modes. There are just 5 maps supported for Ground War and Invasion compared to, I think, 10 for 6v6. But each of them has pretty decent variety in them. Some of them are focused more on infantry combat, others are sort of like a balance between vehicles and infantry. And I think there's one map called Tarak, I think that's how you pronounce it, that is more vehicle heavy and a bit more open. So there is a good balance for players overall that want to play those bigger game modes. And as for the 6v6 maps, they seem okay for a set of maps at launch, but nothing's really blowing me away here. There's not one insanely good map that I've favoured when I want to get into the 6v6 modes, and I hope that that's the one I get in matchmaking. I have played some hardpoint and some domination. I had a decent time, but after a while, the skill-based matchmaking kicked in and the game started trying its hardest to keep me at a 1 KD, putting me against some really good players that had already unlocked a lot more than I had. So that's when I decided to stick to the larger game modes where there is less strict matchmaking and, in my opinion, quite a bit more fun to be had. And you might already know as well that if you play the invasion game mode, you're more likely to rank up your weapons faster, thanks to the presence of the AI soldiers, which right now reward you with the same XP for killing them as a real player. And you can kind of find these groups of AI that will hold onto positions on the map. You can quickly clean those AI soldiers up, and you're like walking away with like 500 to 1,000 XP per engagement, which is great for weapon XP. And if you stick a double weapon XP token on, you're going to be ranking up those guns extremely fast. So yeah, the maps for Ground War and Invasion are pretty decent, but for the 6v6 modes, it's kind of like a middle-of-the-road offering. It's not brilliant, but it's not terrible. And one more thing here, actually, the museum map is just suspiciously absent from the game. There's no communication as to where that's gone, but I'm guessing feedback from the beta, it was pretty unanimous that the map wasn't really that great, so perhaps the Infinity Ward team has decided to hold that back and they're reworking it, but we'll have to wait and see because we haven't been told so far. Next, I've got to give some feedback again on the UI and the menus in this game. They're just really not that great, are they? There's clearly been a concerted effort to redesign the menu UI to make it look like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney+. These big square tiles across the screen that make everything really big, really visual and shiny. And that's fine for a video streaming service, but this is a video game. And I'm not here trying to choose which film I'm going to fall asleep to on the sofa. I'm here to pick my favorite game mode, party up with my friends, and get playing as quick as possible. I don't want to be spending any more than maybe 30, 45 seconds after launching the game moving around the menus before getting into a match. And right now, trying to navigate that friends and party menu, it's just a pain in the ass. There's so many tiles on the screen, there's so much scrolling you have to do to try and find the friend you want. It's just really unintuitive. I understand specifically that in the party and the friends menus that these big tiles are there to show off the calling cards you can unlock, the emblems, and these other cosmetic flourishes, that there's added value now to having those on the screen because people can see them when they highlight your tile. I get the reason why it's there, but why does it have to be so large and everything covering the screen horizontally? Why not just shrink things down a little bit and make better use of the space rather than just showing 4 or 5 tiles horizontally on the screen? Make it like 8, 9, make it so that I can see a bit more rather than having to do so much scrolling and moving around. You can get yourself lost very, very easily in that UI. I know the team has made a big effort since the beta to cut down on the amount of button presses that it takes to get things done in the menus, and I appreciate that work being completed for the launch, but I think maybe this is the kind of UI look that we're going to be stuck with for the foreseeable future, and probably moving forward into future Call of Duty titles as well. And to be honest, I'm not really a fan of the direction they've gone in. I think it's kind of like a change for the sake of it being changed. The old system with Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, Vanguard, that UI made really good use of the vertical space. This one, it really doesn't, and I'm not a fan, to be honest. And then I wanted to list off a bunch of like smaller, or well, maybe not smaller is the best way of describing it, but just a bunch of features that are usually present in a Call of Duty game at launch, but for one reason or another just aren't here right now. The first one is the hardcore game modes. They're called Tier 1 game modes in Modern Warfare 2. Those aren't present right now, and that's got to be pretty disappointing for people who prefer to play those modes. And that's particularly disappointing because at launch, you're kind of getting a feel for the game for the first time. And if you like playing hardcore, that's you getting used to the game for the first time, playing hardcore. But now you've got to play the core game modes, and then eventually when these are activated, apparently coming with Season 1, that's going to change your experience a little bit, and you're going to have to get used to another way of playing. Just seems really strange that these aren't here at launch. Not really sure why they wouldn't be. Then there's your combat record, the barracks, or your stats, whatever you want to call it. They're absent, so you can't see how many kills you've got with a different gun, or how many kills you've got with thermites, or whatever it happens to be. You can't even see your KD ratio at the moment. That's pretty basic stuff. That's not there at all. Also, no challenge menu, so you can't see all the different challenges you need to do in the game. They do appear to be tracking in the background, but there's no menu for you to see those challenges. You can see the camo grind requirements, though. Those are active for each of the guns. which I guess is a good thing because you could focus on those whilst you wait for the challenge menu to be added. Then there's the calling card and emblem unlock screens. Those are missing as well, just like the challenges. There is a section where you can change your calling card and your emblem, and you can apply like a clan tag and stuff, but the entire list of calling cards and emblems is missing, so you've got no idea how many there are for you to try and get your hands on, or what you actually have to do to get your hands on them. There's no leaderboards in the game. There's no custom blueprints that you can save in the gunsmith like there was in Modern Warfare 2019. There's no on-screen animations for the different weapon camos unlocking during gameplay. There's no visible countdown timer for your double XP tokens, despite there being a menu allowing you to apply the tokens, which is just a little bit baffling. And I'm sure there's a few other things missing as well, but it's just quite concerning that these things aren't in the game at launch. I'm sure there's a good reason, but unfortunately we don't know what those reasons are. So we're going to just have to assume that either they weren't working or they weren't finished. And so instead of them having broken features in the game, Infinity Ward thought, right, we'll just take these out and we'll take the heat for them being missing, and then we'll add them back in a future update, maybe Season 1, something like that. Who really knows at this point, but that's where I'm sort of sitting. I'm thinking that they probably just weren't finished and they needed more time. As you've seen from other parts of the game, things have come in a little bit hot for Modern Warfare 2, so maybe they thought these were things that could be sacrificed and then added back in a future update. I am kind of expecting Season 1 to add a lot of this stuff back in that isn't currently active, so, I mean, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Now, with all of that said, lots of things missing, lots of things not really working properly, some odd decisions here and there. I have actually been having fun with this game. I like the gameplay, I'm enjoying the larger scale game modes, I'm grinding for camos on different guns, I'm leveling up those different weapons. I am actually having quite a lot of fun, but there are several things that keep cropping up, as I've spoken about, that right now, they're kind of marring the experience for me. Now, for full clarity, I'm not really super interested in Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer experience because I'm a Warzone guy. So for me, Season 1 with the launch of Warzone 2, that's the point that I'm looking towards. I want to play on the new map, Al Mazrah. I want to get stuck into DMZ and learn all the different mechanics of that. So really, the multiplayer experience isn't something that I'm actively looking to play long term, but I will of course be playing it periodically because I'll have weapons to unlock and things to grind for. So I'm kind of hoping they can get these things fixed relatively quickly. Right now, I am happy ranking up my guns for the next few weeks. That's going to be my main goal, getting all those attachments for as many weapons as I can, so I'm ready for Warzone 2. Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer has come in quite hot. It's got issues, it's got missing features, but I do think the underlying gameplay experience is quite enjoyable. So I hope the dev team can get on top of these issues and start fixing things up for Season 1 when Warzone 2 kicks in. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments, and I'll catch you soon.